Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions with, and welcome to Monday. It is going to be an interesting week here in Michigan. We have a full boat of shows coming up. Uh, yeah, I don't think I will have a day off till next Monday. As a matter of fact, I don't think I will. I think I actually, yeah, we are going nonstop from today until next Monday. Uh, oh, Friday. We don't have anything for Friday. Okay, so I'm off till Friday, and then I'm back at it. Welcome to the show. So StreamYard pulled me pulled a trick on me. It has it created two of these shows. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the second one. I'm going to see if the second one is still going to is it still live? I have no idea what happened. All I know is that I went to get to send went to send Michael Menard his link, and next thing I know, they had the wrong date. Okay, so I only see. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we are live. Okay. Good. Good. So Michael will definitely come to this show here, because this is the link I do believe I sent him. I'm gonna let him know. In fact, you know what? Better yet, I'm just gonna. Uh, Hopefully, he will. Well, I will know shortly what's going on. If he says that he can't get in or he doesn't see me, then I know it's the other link that's working. But I don't know which link is working. So, greetings, Steve. How are you? Hi, Anthony. How are you? And he's finally to 1997. That is awesome, awesome, awesome to hear. Yeah, so I don't know, like I said, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. I have this one live, but I have another one that was originally scheduled, but StreamYard had it going on in May. I have no idea why that happened, how that happened. So I had to create another one, and I made a mistake. Is I copied everything from one to the other. Now I don't know how to differentiate them. But like I said, I'll know soon enough by 8:05, or when Michael pings me and says, "Where are you?" Then I know I'm in the wrong place. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully he comes here. So the show we're going to be talking about today it's a cast and crew panel show. We are going to bring in some cast and crew members. I don't know who's coming from the cast. That has varied in all the various different panel shows I've seen, either on Katie's show or on Al the Card show. It's always been a different cast member, crew component. I do believe that we will be sure to be getting Michael James Bernard, that I'm sure of, but I'm not sure if we're going to get Tyler or which cast members we're getting. Um, I know this kicks off their last day of their Indiegogo. So the Indiegogo is listed down below. So if you want to donate to the movie and go over there and check out the perks of the movie, by all means, go on over there and check it out. Um, Knowing Michael, he has a lot of fun perks ready to donate to the project. If you donate some money to the project, he will have some cool shows, cool stuff to show you. All right, let's see if I can. That is so weird. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Feel free to share us out if you care to. I'm glad Anthony went to the library Friday. All right. I'm going tomorrow. I'm going tomorrow. I hope to hell to have a run like we did last week. Last week was amazing. Definitely one of the top 5 pulls I've ever pulled from the library, and I think I've already gone like 115 times. Um, just absolutely joy. So let me tell you what's coming up this week, because this is a very busy week for us here on the channel. Um, so tonight we have the cast and crew from Webster County. Our friends from Iowa. Michael James Bernard, and I don't know how many cast members will be different from this film versus You Should Have Killed Me. I don't know if there's going to be any connections there. Michael seems like a director that's going to go with a little bit fresh blood, uh, and that's all right. I think that's actually really good. You want to have some good actors, some actors but it's also good to develop new ones too. It deepens your talent pool, so to speak. If you use the same five people, that's all you're going to get is five people. But when you go ahead and do a movie like this, and you have maybe three of your people, but another five fresh faces, it only makes your talent pool deeper. Uh, all right, let's get on with what's going on. So tonight is I already mentioned like three times. Tomorrow night we'll be having our good friend Corey Wilkie will be here. Wilkie's movies and music will be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and we will be talking not only movies but also music because that's something. And I'm going to bring up a binder tomorrow. I saw it downstairs. I said, that'd be a really fun thing to do to show my binder off because a lot of my stuff is really old, but it's a lot of fun. But I thought I'd go ahead and bring a binder up tomorrow to show you guys what's going on. What do I listen to, or like when I'm in the car or whatnot. I'll bring that up tomorrow night, and you can see what your friend Patrick listens to. Let's see, and that will be at 8 o'clock. Wednesday, we have author Angela Haas will be here with us. She is a writer who has written a series, and is starting off with the first book is First Strike. As a matter of fact, it's her first book in her series, and she is prepping for the second book to come out in August in her series. So we'll be talking with Angela Haas on Wednesday. It should be a lot of fun. I read the first chapter of the book. Hey, Sue, how are you? Um, I've read the first chapter of the book, First Strike. I liked it a lot. That was right up my alley. Action, adventure, superhero, sci-fi. I mean, military science fiction. It's color me in. I'm all in for that. I love it. Let's see. I'm seeing if Michael is online. I definitely want to see if he's coming in or not, but I have not seen him yet. So I'm sure he'll be pinging me here in a minute or two. Um, once it's really weird. Okay. So she will be here on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And then on the 20th, we are back with another panel show. That's right. We're doing two panel shows this week. Of course, Webster County tonight, and then Thursday the 20th. Um, Thursday the 20th, we will be welcoming in Pat Bradley, Jeff Clark Jr., and the cast of Filthy Animal. And that was Kelly Gregles and Michael Owen Stanny. Um, they'll be here on Thursday, and we are going to have a lot of fun. That is a beautiful short film. It is up for many awards and is starting to win a lot. Uh, and I'm glad to see a lot of it. Obviously, we want Jeff to win. We definitely want Pat to win. Pat's the executive producer. But I am really impressed with the cast. Um, Kelly and Michael Owen are fantastic actors, and "You Filthy Animal" is a beautiful film. Don't let the title fool you. Don't let the title fool you. It's actually it's part of a lingo, I think, in New York. I think that's part of what they say in New York or Boston or what have you. I've seen it. I've seen that phrase before. Keep the change, you filthy animal. I've heard that before and I've seen it before. I just don't know when. But that's the name of the short film that we'll be talking about on the 20th. And like I said, the actors are already starting to make noise on the festivals front, and they are starting to win some prizes. And it's a faith-based film. Yes, it has one or two bad words in it, but does not take away that it's a very spiritual film. And I'm very impressed with it, and I think you will too in meeting the cast and crew on Thursday the 20th. All right. On Saturday, me and the Cheetah are busy. We are busy. So Saturday, and I'll be posting this up tonight as soon as I get off the show tonight. I will be one of the channels. There's 6 channels. We're all binding together to help our good friend Hobbs for. We organized and we're doing a channel to channel hop. Um, and there's 6 channels. 5 of us are going to be combining in the during the day, and then we're going to have a closeout little party on Saturday night. So I am up from 1 to 3. I am up from 1 to 3. Um, and I will be having some special guests on. I'm going to hold those on my vest. You guys come over and check that out. Starting at 1 o'clock, I will be going up at. Actually, I'll be going up about 12:45. Um, just to keep the ball rolling. Mr. Dan and Horror is going to be joining us at from 11 to 12. Stephen from the House of Horrors is going from 12 to 1. I'm going from 1 to 3. The Mighty Ice Lord has arisen, and he will be taking over from 3 to 4. And then JT from JT's Movies Discussions will go ahead and take care of the day from 4 to 5. And then at night at 11 p.m., Lamonia will be on, and we'll all go over there and wrap it up and talk about the day. At 4 o'clock, though, as soon as I get done at 3 o'clock, I have an hour to rest. But at 4 o'clock, I'll be heading on over to Video Tasties. I'll be heading over to Garrett's channel. I will be a guest on his channel as he and I will be talking Sahara. By Clive Cussler, and it became a movie that starred Matthew McConaughey, all-star cast. It's one of my favorite movies, actually. That movie's badass as hell. I really enjoy it. So when I got a chance to go over there and hang out and do a watch party with them, I jumped all over it. And that will be at 4 o'clock Eastern time as well. And as soon as I guess I should go over there see if there's a banner up. If it is, I'll float it over here. So Sunday, the 23rd. Um, I don't know who's coming for this one. It could be just me and Eric. Um, I do know that we will be watching a Hallmark movie. It's called The Tip Line Mysteries Dial One for Murder. And we'll be talking about that at 4 p.m. I'm hoping. Uh, they put it up. They put the movie up on YouTube. I should go check and make sure it's still there. I did put it for watch later list, but it is a brand new Hallmark movie, and I don't know why I've been sitting here all day in the back of my head saying you really need to check that out. You really need to make sure it's still up. Otherwise, it's going to be a really short show. So that's what we're going to do tonight after the show as well. If because if it's not there, we got to find another movie. And so I don't know, but right now I'm looking forward to seeing the Tip Line Murders because or mysteries because it looked fun from the part of the movie I watched. I watched like 25 minutes of it, and it looked really charming. So I'm hoping that it is safely still up. So we will cross our fingers. If not, we will be doing another movie, and I do not know what we'll be doing. But I'll have to change the whole. I'll have to change the whole damn thing. I'll have to change the whole movie. But and it's entertaining, right? So that will be at 4 p.m. on Sunday. And then after that, I think we're going to be heading on over to Eric's channel because we have an announcement to make for July, and we'll let you guys know about that more on Sunday. So that is what's going on the channel. I am looking at 7:59. I do not see Michael James Menard here. So I'm gonna ping him and see where he is at. Because I am really, really worried. Okay. In fact, I should just go ahead and okay, what happens if I press this right here? Will this take me to where I'm at? Oh God. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see if I'm actually up because okay, I am up, so good. Okay, whoo, hoo, 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 hoo. All right, All right, so we are good to go. As a matter of fact, that is not him. I think that. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it's him. Let's see. Uh, okay. I hope this works. Yeah. Okay. So that was not Michael that was there. Okay, I thought that was, but it was not. Sorry about that. This is this is a this has been a ball of fur here. Yeah. Paladin's actually on a summer weight right now. He is probably about 10 pounds during the summer. He can go up to 14 pounds during the winter time because of the winter. But during the summer, he is very, very slim actually. He does not carry his weight. All right. Uh, I'm not sure if he's trying to get the crew together all at one shot, but we will go ahead and we'll go ahead and keep going. So yeah, we're pretty excited for see Michael's second movie. Again, it's going to be this is really has become the rule except not the exception. But what we're seeing now is that the fundraising for movies, it's going to be pretty much going to be like this all the time now. I'm getting that more and more from independent filmmakers, and that even includes, there's a couple of ways to do it. I know there's been some film projects where they go out there and they try to raise 40 or $50,000. A lot of that is because they're trying to raise the money for the big star that can sell the movie. Um, oh, and I froze, didn't I? Yeah. Hold on. Ah, man, this is not a good day. Hey. My phone is getting heated, so I'm not really sure. It could be a issue. Hey Jaden, how are you? So I know some people are actually doing that now. They're raising money, big money, like 40, $50,000 because they're trying to pay their big name star. Because they have to pay the actor's rate, even if it's a half a rate or 75% of a rate, they still have to pay it. Then there are some who are just trying to raise, 10, $15,000, and that's for the entire movie. It's your cast, crew, everything involved in it, editing, whatnot. The movie is done. $15,000, $20,000, plus whatever else they can raise up on their own. Um, the problem with movies now going forward is the fact that unless they can get enough money to actually put out a physical media copy, a lot of these movies now they're going to struggle to make money at all. Right? Really, is what it is. Streaming services and whatnot, they don't pay like they used to. All right, here is the first person coming through the door. It's the ringleader. I expected that. Ta-da!
Hello,
Right.
everybody.
Welcome, welcome. Um, yeah. We're just talking about, this is the new norm for independent filmmaking. I've already gotten just today, Michael. I've already seen four different campaigns that are getting ready to launch this week. Four from people I know that are launching campaigns. It does seem this is going to be the next new. This is going to be the next new normal. Do you feel like it too?
I wish it wasn't, um, but yes, unfortunately. I will say this. So when you said 8 p.m., I didn't realize it was your time. So there's a miscommunication on my air. So I just put out a message to everyone else getting involved. So they'll probably kind of trickle slowly throughout the podcast, which actually might be more of a blessing and a curse because the viewers watching are just going to get updated, kind of new opinions as we go. So it
Yeah.
should be pretty great.
Who did you who are we expecting besides you, Tyler? And I don't know. I don't know the cast members you got to go tonight.
Excuse me. So the other co-director will be joining us. Michael Euler, who plays Frank in the movie, will be joining us. Patrick, you should definitely question him about his work already. He has a pretty impressive resume. Everything from like Chicago Med to Chicago Fire to H.P. Lovecraft. Like, this guy's been in it all. We might have some stuff from Vern Kroonfair, which played Eddie in You Should Have Killed Me.
Right.
He might be joining the house. Another Frank Marino Boyd, who was in Closing Shop, a short film that Tyler directed. And some others might be kind of trickling in as we go in. But I told everyone I needed 3, if not 4. And I hope they deliver. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be good. I mean, I mentioned that we could host up to 9, but 6 is about the best you could do for a panel show. The host and 5 guests. It makes that way people aren't stepping on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down with that. If there's 5 or 6, I'm cool. Anything 3 or 4, that's also good as well. I've just been like I said, I've been watching not only today seeing the campaign's launch, but I've been seeing it ever since you and I talked about this show, and you mentioning before. I saw in another podcast where you mentioned you were trying to raise the money for it, and you had and this is really, this is sort of telling. I mean, the money, the money. You're in a pretty large area. You're really well known. People know who you are. They know who Red Arc Productions is. I mean, definitely on the map. But even with that, and even with a critically acclaimed film underneath your belt, you would think that going forward that the doors would open up for you. Hey, Michael, it's Red Arc. It's Michael from Red Arc Productions. Hey, he wants to talk about funding for his next movie. Normally, you'll probably get a response. You would like, okay, yeah, okay, he's got some festival awards underneath him. He got a distributor. He's making money for this distributor. So his movie is moving forward. And you would think that the door would open up a little bit for a filmmaker such as yourself.
Yes and no, but I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of just like what you touched on. Like, people know me in like a 50-mile radius of where I live. But like, it just goes to show how, the old school saying is, just when you think you're starting to make a name for yourself, or you're starting to do big things, there's always something that kind of humbles you a bit and sets you back a bit and makes you realize that you're not as important as you think you are. And I wasn't necessarily shocked by this. I wasn't necessarily expecting more, but it just goes to show you, like, like, until you really prove yourself and you're on like a national scale, like, no one knows who you are. So even with this crowdfunding, this was technically a success, because when we were crowdfunding with You Should Have Killed Me, we actually only raised $2,200. And then the reason why I was able to make it to the 5K is I had a private donor that split the difference and was like, hey, you said you can make it for 5K. Let me give you the $2,800 to do so. With this movie, even though it doesn't seem like it, it was actually an even bigger kind of an accomplishment because, we were asking for, 15K, no, even though we didn't even get nowhere close to that, or we haven't yet. Um, we raised like 48K just off of donations out of like the 56 that we have now. So, I mean, already that's like more than double what we raised by just asking people for money the first time around. So, I definitely count that as a win. Um,
Wait, wait, you gotten
so
56, you got 56, 48,000 now?
we got 4,800.
Oh, 4,800. Okay, I was gonna say,
We've
uh,
we've
but
raised
that's
4,800 from like private donors. We're up to 5,600 total.
total.
And today was actually the last day. I was hoping it was going to close at midnight, but it actually closed at midnight last night.
Yeah,
So
I
if
just,
I was going to say, if there was anybody watching that still wanted us to try to get to that like 6,000 number or something like that, I can send Patrick a link to my Venmo or something like that. And all of that money for those watching will still get poured into the film. So,
last time I talked to you, the last time I talked to you, you had mentioned you had raised 1,700. And so for you to get up to 4,800, it's doing very well. I mean, get up to, I know I think your goal was a 15 or 16K that you're trying to hit.
yeah, you always want to kind of ask for a number higher than what you could actually do it for. Generally, it gives more incentive for people to donate. Um, I was asking around the 10,000 number. Tyler suggested we asked to 15, and he was just like, what's the worst that can happen? I was like, touche. So, yeah, we were asking for 15. 15 would have been comfortable. It would have been that number that we could pay the cast and crew up front for their services, buy all the wardrobe, buy all the craft services, buy all of that. And then we would have even had number or some money left over for like post production, like marketing, things like that that people don't think about, or
Right.
even just entering film festivals. I mean, if you enter a category at Sundance, like, I mean, you're spending like
Mm.
$100 on one category. So before you know it, if you put in for, say, best feature, best actor, best female actor, whatever it may be, I mean, you're spending $600 on one film festival. So I mean, all of that can add up.
I have
Um,
mixed emotions about film festivals. I don't really like that, because it really comes across as pay to play. It really does. It's like, to
yes and
me,
no, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I my dream is obviously one day to be played there, but I mean, at the same time, you know, Sundance also has the rule where they have to be the first person to premiere your film. So, say like you finish your film in January, but Sundance isn't even until September. If you show your film anywhere before that, it'll automatically be disqualified because it's not premiered at Sundance.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the one thing that I don't like about it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, because it just seems like, okay, well, I'm wasting my entire summer on like film festivals that I could be in to wait
Right.
for you to tell me yay or nay whether I got in. So that
Yeah,
just kind of sucks.
I
Because
definitely would.
there's a very slim chance you get in anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm wasting my entire summer to find out that like I didn't make the cut when I could have been at other festivals. So
I'm with you on that. I think that's a perfectly it's a waste. We got a question here. Michael, what are relationships like with donors after a movie is filmed and released? Do you feel inclined to connect with them on a success or maybe not successful outcomes? And do you owe any money to your investors?
so far with Indiegogo, no. If it was private investors, which I have a little bit experience with this, and I'm glad we didn't do this. There's an individual that came forward when I was doing my first feature film, You Should Have Killed Me, and he was willing to give us like $5,000 on top of the $5,000 that we had already raised. And the stipulations he put on it was there was like a 4% interest rate. We had to pay back like the majority of it within like 3 months of the film's release. And there was just a bunch of like stipulations on it. And so I ended up saying no. And I'm glad I did, because if I didn't, like, we would be in debt to this individual, or I would be in debt to this individual, like something around the lines of like $65,000 to $7,000 if I would have done that. So it depends on the kind of the investors and like the relationships with the donors that you make. With Indiegogo, it's a little bit different because everyone signs up for like a perk, as they call them, and so with those perks that those individuals choose, they kind of know what they're getting themselves into. They understand it's not like a big reward type thing. However, I mean, if The Wicked Ways of Webster County goes on to make like millions of dollars, and this is like the 0.00 or like the 0.00001% chance that it would do that, I would probably contact those individuals and be like, here's tenfold your money. Like, thank you so much for helping us out. So it just depends. It depends on the situation, the individuals you're working with. Everyone has heard of those funny producers. I'm trying to think of the movie it was originally. There was the producer that ended up making. God, I just talked about it with Tyler the other day. I wish he was in here. Wild Wild West. There was the producer of that movie produced
John Peter
before Wild Wild West, where he was like, I want a mechanical spider, and they were like, yeah we're not doing that.
It was Kevin Smith when they were talking about doing a Superman movie, and John Peters wanted to.
And he was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Sorry, bro. But then when he made Wild Wild West, of course, there was a mechanical spider. So, I mean, some producers will make crazy suggestions. Luckily, I haven't ran into those individuals quite yet. In fact, ironically enough, Patrick has a previous podcast with I want to say Irish or Scottish filmmaker that I actually asked the same thing about producers with. I can't remember who that was with though. Good question, Jen. I appreciate it.
Does Tubi have a film festival? They should if they don't. So here's what's going on with Tubi. So basically, all we're seeing Amazon 2.0 with Tubi. When Amazon first started to start carrying films, they didn't have a library. They hadn't bought anything yet, so they took everybody's movie. If you had a movie that you wanted to, if it was complete, I think it was like 75 minutes, and you could send it to Amazon, and Amazon would play your movie. As it got more popular, and all of a sudden, then they bought the studio. I think they bought MGM, and then they decided that they're going to film their own studio. Well, all those independent movies that they had lived on, to establish a foothold, all those filmmakers started being aced out. You could have made a lot of money on Amazon with your independent movie, but then they went ahead and they gutted it, and they lowered the money to like pennies per minute. Then they put in like your movie. You don't get paid unless your movie's watched for at least 30 minutes. It might be half now, but even then, you get paid pennies on the dollar. And then Tubi, it wasn't paying out quite as large as Amazon, but they were paying out. But now Tubi has taken off so well that all the big studios want in. So now there's like two or three different studios that have their fingers in Tubi. I think Paramount for sure has their fingers in it. And so all the independent filmmakers are slowly going to be pushed out or swallowed down. Like if you type in your front page of your Tubi, if you probably have started noticing, you started noticing a lot of Fox content, a lot of Hulu content, a lot of Paramount content. The movies like you should have killed me. They're not going to pop up anymore. You're going to go have to look for them. You have to remember who's in the movie or whatnot, and then you have to type it in and hope so. Whereas before, I remember going on Tubi, and that was one of the movies that was like, "Welcome back. Here's what we're showing," and it was "You Should Have Killed Me." But that was like way back when you first started. Now I haven't seen it since. I haven't seen it since. I know it's still there. I
Mhm.
type in there, and it'll pop up, but it's not coming up like it normally did, like or any other independent film.
Well,
Now,
also Tubi's also trying to advertise like the name brand films that they have on Tubi. So I mean, they're not just picking up low budget independent filmmakers anymore. I mean, you can go to Tubi and watch like Oscar winning films that they've garnered the rights to. So I mean, they're showing their prospective viewers those films like, hey, did you know you could watch like this movie on our website? It's not about independent films anymore. They're trying to compete with like your Netflix and your, I mean, look at it. You don't even just have Netflix. I mean, or Amazon Prime, which are your two biggest two. I mean, you have people like Peacock coming out and creating their own streaming service website. People like IndieBox. I mean, it's like everyone's trying to get their claws in the game, if you will. So I mean, it's when you go to Tubi nowadays, you're not going to see independent filmmakers on their homepage. You're going to see the fact that they have the Halloween trilogy on there. You're going to see that they have the Independence Day or Starship Troopers or I mean, I don't know. Like you're just going to see like
you're
the
you're
name
you're you're
brand
hitting
movies that
you're
they
hitting
have.
it right on the button. That's
Yeah,
exactly what we're seeing.
yeah.
Dale mentions here says, let's see. Jen says, speaking of, I watched the first Terrifier last week, and needless to say, I had to look away from what's probably the worst death scene in the horror film I've seen. Well, take consolation that Art the Clown is a cat lover, and that's no lie. It's actually the truth. Let's see. Dell mentions since Tubi has gotten more popular, Amazon has gone back to putting a bunch of low budget movies. Uh, I hope that they're getting paid. That's
Yes, yes and no. But see, that's the thing is a lot of people don't know about with like Amazon is like you actually have to pay them to put your film on there.
gosh.
So before COVID, back when it was like people doing stuff on Vimeo. Hey, Michael, what's up, buddy?
Hey, can you
Uh,
hear me?
Gotcha, bro. Back when Venmeo was like a big thing for short filmmakers and independent filmmakers, and like Amazon Prime was still doing shit. Around COVID, they stopped, and Amazon Prime put like an article out that they were no longer accepting independent films. And since then, that's lifted. Like now, they are accepting independent films, but I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure that the only stipulation is that you have to pay to put your film on there, and then they take like a decent chunk out of the money that you would make on there from people watching it and put it on their end. So it's almost not worth it anymore.
Welcome aboard, Michael. We were
Thank you.
just talking about we're talking about the future of indie filmmaking, and it seems to be more and more that it's going to be through crowdfunding. Um, I mentioned I meant attention to Michael before that I've already seen like 4 campaigns take off this week already. Um, with the major studios are now they're cutting staff, they're cutting budgets. I'm not sure if anybody was watching ABC, which is owned by Disney. I'm not sure if anybody watched their fall lineup for next fall. It's absolutely garbage. They're not paying for any scripted films or series. It's all reality. Only, like I said, I think they said like 21% of their lineup is scripted series. So they're doing reality because they can do it on the cheap. And I heard that Paramount is laying off a lot of people, and they've lost a lot of money. Uh, streaming streaming services, probably other than Netflix and maybe Amazon, as far as putting out original content, I think they're the only studio in the game. Everybody else is losing losing money, and it sounds like even Disney is a little bit. Of course, the box office, as we know, this summer is taking a pounding. A lot of high profile movies are coming out, and they're just getting lit into. They're not making anything. It's gonna get worse. Um, I think the fundamentals of making a movie these days is, I think we're seeing it right before our eyes. We're seeing the next evolution of filmmaking. Um, what do you think about that, Michael?
Oh God, you want to get me going on this? Whew. All right.
Yeah,
So first and foremost, everything that you just said, I totally predicted when the strike was happening. When the strike was going on, I said, this is what's going to happen. It's going to end up resorting to companies like Netflix and Amazon saying, "Oh, you know what? You guys want more money? We're not going to pay you more money. We'll find cheap things to make." And then that falls into the layoffs of all the people at those companies and the lack of production. So I totally saw that coming. I knew that was on the way. So that was not a surprise. Um, the thing with the theaters bombing, I think a lot of that is really because of the remakes, the reboots, and the sequels. I think people are over that because look at Oppenheimer. You know, Oppenheimer
and Barbie.
and Barbie, both original, both not remakes, um, did amazing. And it was because they came out with original stories and it wasn't the same old thing that everybody's seen over and over and over. Like at this point, like why would you go to Avengers 27 when you've seen the first 26 and you know what it is? You can just wait for it to come on streaming. You know, like there's no draw to go to the movies, but you get something like Oppenheimer or Barbie where it's a original new idea and it's going to have imagery that's going to look different on a theater screen than the TV screen. That's going to bring people in. So I think Hollywood, the major studios, need to get out of this mindset that because they made money once with something, they're not going to make money with it again. You know, like those days are done. They need to start being creative and bringing new things to the table. And I miss the days of like the late 90s, early 2000s when Miramax was on top of the game and like everything they came out with, it was amazing. You know, you had Tarantino coming out with cool stuff. Miramax was doing like Shakespeare in Love and like Mystic River, I think was Miramax, and like just
Yeah.
so many great movies. And then
I
you know, we got into DC and Marvel and the whole perpetuating of the sequels.
Yeah,
But
the sequels it's and even properties that you just sort of like look at and like, I don't know, like, like I was thinking about the Fall Guy, and on paper you thinking everybody's sitting there going, yeah, you put Ryan Gosling together and Emily Blunt, but at the same time it's like before they announced that show, before that movie, no one knew about the Fall Guy. No one was talking about it. No.
right,
I don't even know how many stations it was played. Even on those retro stations, I don't even know how many, if it was even played on any of those. I'm sure it was, but those retro stations are very deep. They're not the first thing people sit down to. I'm going to watch, cozy TV.
right,
And I
right.
just didn't think
And
the brand. I didn't think that anybody was really aware of the series
yeah,
before they announced it.
and I think one of the things too with them redoing like the '80s stuff is you're touching on a nostalgia that people don't want ruined. Like the day they come out with the Breakfast Club is the remake is the day I go to Hollywood like picketing, like like Footloose. Like why are you touching that? Like just leave the club. Like ugh, don't get me started. Ugh.
Uh,
To piggyback off Michael a little bit, I'm still feeling optimistic. the same thing happened in the late 80s, early 90s when Michael was talking about when Tarantino took over and P.T. Anderson and filmmakers like that. The 80s were just so dry and boring and everything was happy, feel good. And they, they didn't prioritize like good storytelling and like focusing on how ugly life could be. And then, all of a sudden the 90s hit, and, the 90s renaissance of film happens, like I said, with Tarantino and P.T. Anderson and filmmakers of that generation. So I would like to think maybe we're on the same cusp of another renaissance, if you will. I would like to think so. Obviously, if you don't remember the past, you're condemned to repeat it. So I'm hoping that the 2020s have just been another 1980s, and then the late 2020s, early 2030s will be that renaissance period like we had in the 90s. And I mean, who knows? Like, I was born in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. So a lot of those guys that you see making films are very strongly influenced by the 90s. So I would like to think that it's happening, but I guess we'll see where we're at when we get there. But I'm still holding on to hope that Hollywood wakes the fuck up and figures out, how to keep butts in seats, because I would love nothing more than in the future for my 3-year-old daughter to see one of my movies in theaters one day. That's the ultimate dream. So
I agree. Let me go to see what's catching with the chat here. Steve out in Arizona, he says he knows someone who is a very skilled art director who can't find work anymore. He said filmmakers are using the same few crew members on each film. Yeah, that seems to be a problem too. It's not a problem. It's a matter of trust. If especially independent filmmaking. If anybody's watched this show for any length of time, you've heard over and over and over how indie filmmakers struggle to keep crew and actors. And I mean, it's always a little bit of a gamble. You show up to shoot, and then someone doesn't show up. And then it just happens. So what a lot of times a film director or producer or whatnot, they keep that they do the John Ford thing. They keep the same crew members because they can depend on them, and dependability is absolutely. I think dependability is probably second behind budget.
Well, I'll give you my friendly answer, and then I'll give you my blunt answer, which kind of goes back to Pat's first question. My friendly answer is like, keep working at it, keep trying, prove yourself. If you prove that you're undeniable, then people will obviously want you on their set. And then to second that, which is kind of my more blunt answer, is like, what has your friend done? Because if he is an art director, then so what? Like, what are his credentials? What does he have on his IMDb page, or what does he have on his resume that would justify him getting a job over somebody else? The thing is like, and actually, I'm going to be fully blunt on this because it's actually my favorite thing about the film industry. Here's the reason why I love the film industry: is it's black and white. And the reason why I say that is it's one of those mediums in art. And I know a lot of people like to argue with me about that. Art is in the eyes of the beholder, not film. Film is one of those things where it's like, when you watch film, you can very clearly look at it and go, either this person has it or this person doesn't.
Yep.
Now, that's not saying that the person that doesn't can't get better and improve. However, like, I hear this all the time. Like, this is the first year I was an adjunct instructor at the own college that I graduated from film school. And I used to get asked this question all the time. Like, I just want to get on set. I just want to do this. I just want to do this. Or I want to be a director. How do I become a director? And I'm like, okay, what have you done? And they all look at me with blank stares. And I'm just like, if you haven't done anything, then no one's going to know who you are. No one's going to know how to, no one's going to support you. and no one's going to invite you on their set. Like, you have to develop some sort of resume for people to be like, oh, this person's serious, this person's legit, let's get them on the crew, see what they can do. Like, you can't just, I'm not saying this person from Desert Adventures, is like doing this, but it's like, you can't just sit on social media and cry about how there aren't any jobs if you're not out there trying to like prove yourself. Like, you have to have some sort of resume.
So, let me ask you this too, Michael, as a film director. The most important thing in any movie production, right? Obviously, is budget, especially independent, right? Independent film, it's budget. Is it safe to say after that it really is dependability? After the budget,
I would say it's dependability up front. I'll give Michael as a perfect example. Michael is like, and I'm not saying this in the sexist talk, I just mean this in the phrase. Michael is like a man's director, right? Michael's extremely talented, like I mentioned before at the beginning of this podcast, with like some of his, credits on like IMDb. You'll see him in like H.P. Lovecraft Country. Some of these aren't accurate. Michael can correct me later, but like, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, things like that. People know these shows. They've watched him. He's got a resume that goes back that far. But with me as an independent filmmaker, he also understands like what that means. We're making a movie at a very low budget. But Michael actually caught me off guard from the beginning, and I'll do a short story short here, or a long story short here. So Michael kind of came out of nowhere. When I first started casting for The Wicked Ways of Webster County, he approached me, he turned in an audition, he nailed it, he got the role. But this is somebody who has been following me on Facebook and other social media sites for like 3 years, waiting for that chance that I had no idea about. Like, he was quiet until now. He hadn't approached me. He hadn't done anything. So then when he accepted the movie and got into the movie, and I kind of learned what his, resume was, I was like, holy shit, this guy's done a bunch of huge things. Like, why does he want to be in my movie? And he kind of just did like that thing where it's like, good talent respects good work, and you do good work, and I want to be a part of it. And, he's been super easy to work with from the start. Like, hey, don't worry about a hotel room for me. You got a couch for me to sleep on. I'll be there. Like, he's just kind of that like man's man director. Like, he's not looking for all these fancy things. And like, he's been an absolute blast to be a part of this production. And I honestly look at him as like one of my friends. We've had a couple of setbacks in the production, and immediately I reached out to him and was like, bro, I need your help. And he's like, I got you. And just like immediately took care of it. Not every actor is like that. And I can't remember what your original question was, but talent wise, not everyone's like that. Some people.
I said dependability because I've known there's been.
Exactly. So, for example, Michael has been like dependable up front. Like, I knew that I could rely on him regardless of the budget that we made, and because of that, it took a lot of weight off my shoulders because I knew like, hey, no matter what our budget is, as long as we have enough money to make this movie, I know that Michael's going to be there for it. So I would actually say it's the other way around. I can't speak for Michael on this point because obviously I would love to have raised like $50 million and give all these guys a hefty paycheck. So, I mean, budget might come in front of dependability for him. But just in this kind of weird scenario, I don't know, like Michael's just been kind of my go-to guy from the start. So I'll let him weigh on that.
Yeah, let's pass it on to him since he's from the acting side of it. What do you think is more important, Michael, as an acting artist? Do you think it's more important that there's a budget in place, or and then dependability? Because to me, I think everything resolves about the money. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're dependable or not. You can show up on set every day, but if there's no money to make film or to feed the crew or to get equipment, what does it really matter? So budget first, you got the budget, and then you go out there and then you get dependable crew members that have worked with you before. like lighting and grips and whatnot. People that they're going to be, if you sit there and say, hey, it's going to rain tomorrow, they're still going to show up. Because I've heard many times before where there's been actors or crew members that just don't show up. They just don't no show. And then when that happens, it just, it can bring a production screeching to a halt. That's why I think, to me, dependability, and this is why reasons why someone like a Michael James Bernard will keep the same crew with him, because he knows that they're going to show up, rain, snow, or sleet. Actors too, that's why they go out and hire the same actors, because they know that they're going to show up, they're going to do a great job, they're going to be dependable, they're going to show up on time, know their lines, know other people's lines. I mean, what do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think obviously the budget's a plus. I think I'm kind of at a weird point right now where God, I don't even know how to describe this. For me, I think it's more about quality than anything else. Like I'm to the point where I can tell people, I don't really want to do that. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I've paid my dues. There are things I don't need to do anymore.
Right.
So then it really becomes, is this someone who's making something worthwhile? Is this someone who's making something that is going to showcase a story that I can actually come in and play a role that will be filmed correctly? Because I've done my share of things where, like, thought I did all right, and then you see how it's filmed and edited, and you're like, that was a waste. Why did I even do that? So I think for me, it's quality comes into play first. Yeah. And then I would say I'm broke. So, like, money, like, I'm so used to not having money that I, like, what, so the dependability is huge.
Before you continue, I was about to be like, "Oh, Michael, I'm glad you think I make quality films," and then you just hit me with, like, "I got nothing better than you."
Yeah, no, no, that's definitely why. I mean,
no need to be crass, sir.
Like he was saying, I've been following him, and I watched You Should Have Killed Me, and I watched what his studio was doing, and I liked it, and I liked the quality, and I liked what he put into it, and you could tell it wasn't just something thrown together. Like he took his time. It was well cast. The shots were beautiful. And I was like, I want to work with them. I want to work with that studio. And I think I'm in Wisconsin, and I feel like, I don't know if it's like this everywhere else, but there's kind of the same people doing the same things over and over. And I don't want to be in a spot where I'm with the same people all the time, doing the same things over and over. So I'm trying to, like, look at the people in other states who are doing good work and getting in and being part of what they're doing. So the minute they posted a casting call for a couple little tiny roles. And I was like, I don't care how small this role is. I'm auditioning for it because I want to work with these guys. So, and then again, that goes back to the quality.
I'm glad you mentioned that quality too, because and Tyler, welcome to the show. This is the producer of
co-director.
Co-director.
Yeah. So Tyler and I are pulling a Coen Brothers, and it all stems from us being a commercial videography team that won an Emmy last year. So we're putting our work brains together on the outside with this outside of work project called The Wicked Ways of Webster County. So,
do you still got your Emmy on your desk, Michael?
Yeah, mine's in the background there. You can look above Mike's right shoulder. There's mine.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
I don't want to cover up Tyler's, even though I'm doing it. I'm not trying to. There we go.
Figure it out, man.
Yeah, sorry, it's backwards.
So co-director Tyler is here with us tonight. And we were just talking about, I'm not sure if he caught it or not before he came on. Um, we're talking about what's most important to, to a film production, independent film production. Is it the, budget and then dependability of the cast and crew? Because you
It's
don't have that.
schedule. It's correct times.
Right. And they have to be there. They have to show up. I guess that's really critical as well. And I think by showing up, like I said, by showing up when you're supposed to, making a commitment, despite what the weather may be, despite what whatever hardships may happen, the fact that if you show up ready to do your job, chances are very strong that you'll be called back for the next one. If you don't show up, if you take a day off, oh, I'm sorry, I just took a day off, something happened or whatever, and you become a distraction to a production, you might make it through the current production that you're in. You might, but probably not going to get invited back for anything else anytime soon. And with the with the water evaporating, so to speak, as far as film productions go, you don't want to have that reputation. Not if you want to stay in the business. I mean, if you don't want to stay in the movie business, you want to, sell cars or something like that, then so be it. But if you want to stay in the business and be a part of it, you have to be dependable. You have to know your shit.
And that applies to any business,
Exactly.
any job. If you're not dependable, why would anybody ask you to do anything?
Exactly.
I will say, piggybacking off of what Michael said, he's kind of underplaying, and Tyler can back me up on this. I actually remember today very, very well that Michael auditioned for his character Frank for the Wicked Ways of Webster County. I was all giddy and excited when I came into work, and it doesn't happen very often. Usually I'm pretty mellow. I show up to work with Tyler and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go burn a cigarette. You want to walk outside and talk to me while I do that? He's like, yeah, whatever. That's how we start our day. We might talk about shoots we have that day, whatever, maybe. So I showed up at work to this day and I was overly excited. And I was like, hey, man, I got an audition for someone for Frank. Tyler was just like, oh, yeah? And I was like, yep. And I showed it to him. And the audition gets done. And Tyler just looks at me and was like, we have to give him a bigger part. Like immediately. Like he was just like, we have to give him more dialogue. Like Frank crushed that small supporting character that he was talking about so much that we actually made his role bigger just for him.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a tremendous sign of respect. And obviously, Michael, you definitely have earned it. Let me go back to the chat real quick because it is flying tonight. These are the kind of chat that I love.
That's good. Give us money. I'll send you my Venmo.
We mentioned about dedication. Jan says, I have a question. At what point do you create an IMDb? That's a good question. Not so much when do you create an IMDb page for your movie? Because I know that the rule for me as a podcaster is I don't talk about any project unless I see it on IMDb. If I see it listed, then I'm going to ask you questions about it.
Yeah, this is a little different. So like with You Should Have Killed Me, I didn't make an IMDb page until it got picked up for distribution. But with The Wicked Ways of Webster County, it's the first IMDb page that I ever made for a film in pre-production. Usually I won't make.
But you had one for yourself though, right?
Yeah. I had one for my director page. But usually I don't make an IMDb page until like the movie's done and it's like, making its film circuit debut. But The Wicked Ways of Webster County was the first film that I had ever made like an IMDb page in like pre-production status.
Let me ask you another question too, Michael, because this is actually, has been bothering me a little bit. So IMDb, everybody goes to IMDb and the ratings are there and what have you. But what really gets me is the fact that everybody goes there and they put their vote in, they do their comment or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it's owned by Amazon. Amazon can manipulate it any way they see fit.
Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Warner Brothers.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. I just found that out like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I didn't trust Rotten Tomatoes barely, anyways.
I mean, either I didn't trust. I don't ever trust Rotten Tomatoes. But I did not know they're owned by Warner Brothers. No, I just feel like IMDb, like to me, Amazon has a lot of clout over a lot of productions. A lot of movies, they can get buried. 2.0, rating, and it's like, how do you even know that's a true rating? Someone else could be. I've seen movies that people have raved about, gone over to IMDb, and they're sitting there with a 4.3 and a 4.4. Yet I popped to 20, 30 people that said this is the best thing since sliced bread. And you sort of like look at the IMDb score and you're like, so who's manipulating that? Is that driving down the cost of the talent? Does it drive down the cost of, does it make it a movie a lot more difficult for filmmakers? Because, some people are all about the ratings. If XYZ has a 2.1 rating, people or investors or whatnot, they're going to go and look at it like, why should I invest in you? You don't make very good movies. But is that the truth? Because you could have made a great movie.
I don't know. Tyler, just because he's my friend, has kind of helped me out on this. For a while, You Should Have Killed Me had like a 9.0 on IMDb. I was like, this is awesome. I made a great movie. And then as soon as it came out, it quickly dropped to like a 6.4 and then a 5.0. And I was like, oh no. And it's sitting at a 5.2 currently. And Tyler basically told me, I can't remember what movie he named, but he was like, hey, have you ever heard this movie? And I was like, oh yeah, it's like, a famous movie. He's like, well, that movie has a worse IMDb rating than yours. So he's like, be happy. And I was just kind of like, all right. So, I mean, like, I can't remember what movie it was, but
I don't either.
Tyler's been very supportive because I will admit he was my coworker when I was like solo directing. So he's kind of seen me at my highs and my lows and my highs and my lows for like the entire thing. And part of the reason why I'm happy he's co-directing The Wicked Witch of You Should Have Killed Me is he's kind of always been that
I'm even keeled.
Yeah, he's always been that like solid voice in my head where it's like if I have any doubts up and down, he's always kind of kept me right where I should be. If I start to get too cocky, he's always kind of like, you're not that good. But then if I start to get kind of sad or depressed to myself,
well, I mean,
sure.
You can't have a 9 on IMDb. Like, your movie's great. It's a hell of an accomplishment, but a 9 on IMDb is insane. Like, that's like the greatest movies of all time are 9s. I mean, some of them aren't on 9s. Like, I think Jaws, we were just talking about Jaws today. I think Jaws is like an 8.2.
Yeah.
Your movie's not better than Jaws. You're not better than Steven Spielberg. I can't say his name.
Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking about, I'm thinking about Jeeves and, it's a memorable character. I think he was definitely more famous than a
great movie.
Definitely more famous than
I'm
he's
a
definitely
fan
more
of the
famous
movie.
than Hooper.
I saw that movie about 6 times before anybody else did. I made the trailer for that movie. Like, I trust me, I know that movie. Like, I know the movie. I know it better than Jaws. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, that's why about IMDb, because, like I said, that's what I always wait until I see an IMDb page go up before I start asking any questions. But of course, until then, like I saw this one guy. He was one of the 4 people I saw launching their campaigns, and he did something that was complete. I'm just sitting there looking at him, going like, I can't believe you're doing this. You're launching your campaign, but you told your freaking story already. You already told your story. It's like going to see those trailers, going to see a trailer, and he's like, okay, so Abigail's a vampire. Okay, well, thanks. He just saved me $15.
Yeah,
now
like,
I know the hook of the movie. Yeah. And this is what this guy did today. He went up there and he told his story about his campaign. And I'm going like, what? Why would you do that?
Yeah, trailers that give too much away drive me insane.
So I always thought the IMDb sort of like, like if you didn't put up an IMDb page, it sort of protected your project from that, giving out too much information. I'm not sure if you guys have been on the podcast where they've tried to talk to you about movies that aren't listed on IMDb. Is that it's just an unspoken rule, unless it's been released, unless there's been a press release, or unless there's a page for a project. Do you not talk about it then until that happens?
I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I hate spoilers, so I'm pretty good about not revealing too much.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I liked in regards to the trailer, I liked Tyler's rendition of "You Should Have Killed Me," because he kind of took the dialogue of the movie and then almost turned it into like its own short film. So like the dialogue itself with like the clips kind of tell like a mini story in like the minute trailer that he put together. And yeah, I really liked it. It was great.
Let me go back here to the chat real quick. Dell has a question. How much does winning an Emmy help with getting funding for future projects? I think I asked that too.
Not at all.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is that it should. It really should.
It just raises the standard of how much more work you have to put into now make every commercial an Emmy standard winning commercial, as opposed to just having one. So I will say in the long run, it makes you a better videographer, filmmaker, commercial filmmaker, because everyone now expects you to make them an Emmy winning commercial. But yeah, it doesn't get you any monetary gains whatsoever. We didn't even get a raise at our job.
Yeah, that's or a bonus, right?
No, nothing.
Let's see. Too bad Emmys don't come with an automatic 10,000 that's given for future projects, or a bonus. If you win I've known newscasters that have won, journalists that have won multiple Emmys, but you're right. They might get a small
Hey,
bonus.
Patrick, not to interrupt, I got one more person trying to get in. You said the link's not working.
Well, I just used it.
Okay, hold on.
Do you want me to send? Do you want me to resend it to you on through Facebook? Use the link in Facebook, Michael. That'll work.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's see. I saw the movie Under Paris. It was very entertained. Yeah, that's Xavier Gens. He's a terrific director. Very underrated. I love Xavier Gens. It's one of my favorites. Let's see. Anybody interested in donating to the Wicked Waste of Webster County can still donate to his Vimeo. I will get that, and I will put that down in the description box, because Michael mentioned about the Indiegogo ending on midnight. It is over with. I clicked on the page to share it. It's closed.
Hey, it's out.
Just flew in. Our good friend Al Ducar just flew in. Welcome, Al. Glad you're here.
Bats in the chat.
Hey, the bats in the chat.
That's right, the bats in the chat. All right, so where are we at as far as Webster County? Do we have a complete? Is everything all completed? Do you have are you doing scouting locations now? Who's going to be in the cast? Are you still doing auditions for it? Tell us a little bit about the backbones of the project.
Well, Tyler hasn't been on too much this podcast because I made a mistake, which I don't know if I said to the chat earlier. I thought it was 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it was technically 7 p.m. our time. So since Tyler's just getting involved, I'm going to go ahead and let him answer this question so you guys can hear from him.
Yeah, we everybody's cast. We have a majority of our locations. Still some. Hey, there's Frank. Frank is going to play Mark, that's right.
With a C at his request.
How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Good. Doing better than I deserve.
Al owes us another bat. But yeah, we're basically everything pre-production is mostly done. We just got a couple more locations to find, but other than that, yeah, we're all good. I'm trying to think if there's any repeats. Is there any repeat people from the movie from You Should Have Killed Me to Webster County? There's not, right?
Vern is.
Oh yeah, Vern. Yeah.
Vern plays Eddie, the guy who gets, we'll say, delayed towards the beginning of the movie, not to give anything away for those who haven't seen it. I'm trying to think. It might be just Eddie. And then going back to Patrick, I wanted to bring up one point what you said about how more independent film projects are kind of going with the same people over and over again because they trust them. This time it was not a luxury I could afford. I've said this on a few podcasts we've done. So do you remember the first time I came on when we were talking about You Should Have Killed Me?
Yeah.
I used that saying, rising tides lift all boats. If you remember that, that was in regards to everyone else that helped me on You Should Have Killed Me. So that's been kind of a blessing and a curse because, like I said, I'm not going to take 100% credit for it. I think they would have done it on their own, whether or not we got picked up for distribution or not. But it just seemed like once everyone involved kind of saw what You Should Have Killed Me did, they all started making their own feature-length films. Just in the state of Iowa this year, I think there's been like 6 or 7 feature-length films being made. And so to answer your question in regards to like crew, I actually have a completely different crew than what was on You Should Have Killed Me because everybody that helped me on You Should Have Killed Me are all making their own feature-length films this year.
Yeah, that's like, it's like a coaching tree. You have the one coach, and they have all the assistants, and they all get head coaching jobs.
Yeah,
but it all stems from that one. I actually mentioned that before you got here, about working with the same crew, for a project. I said that generally, you do not do that. You tend to use other people because to me, in a community like Iowa, it's better to use different people as to widen the talent pool. The more, look at all these people now getting involved in making their own movies. Well, before your movie, before you gave them that chance, they weren't doing that. Now that you have, think about that. Let's say you have a crew of 30 for You Should Have Killed Me. Now multiply that by 8. Now you have 240 out there doing that, learning the craft. That's totally that's because of you and you gave them the chance. This is your doing.
I've
gotten deeper because of that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to take credit for that. These guys were all super highly motivated and super talented without me. They would have done it regardless. Like I can't take credit and say like, I started all of these careers. Like that's just not my place to do. They were
maybe not 240 of them, but there are a lot.
They were hungry for it, and they would have done it without me regardless. So I don't feel right saying that, but I am happy that they are doing that.
I mean, I can say it on your behalf because I've seen it. I've seen this. There's many people come in there and say, if it hadn't been for me, this is my first job. This is my first job. He gave me my first job. I heard that many, many times. This, from a lot of different directors and producers. So gave me my first job. Well, you'd have done by you doing that for a lot of people. You did widen the talent pool for Iowa. So now filmmakers coming in there. Hey, I need a lighting guy. Who can I get? Not who you can get, but a choice of who you can get. Because now instead of just looking for the one guy, now there's 8. Now maybe there's 15. Because they all got a chance to work on a project, and it just
unfortunately there's only one really good one in Iowa.
Well, there's 2.
Two really good ones.
You got John Van Allen.
Well, he doesn't count.
So there's only two, but of course the other ones will only get better. They'll only get better through experience.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, that goes hand in hand. I mean, everybody's first movie comes out with bumps and bruises, but it's always not the first movie. It's always not the second one, because you want to see how much growth there is from the first to the second. That's what I look for as a film watcher, is like, I want to see how much better the second film is from the first one. That to me tells me the growth of a cast and crew, and a director. So the movie, do you have now? Where are you going to be shooting it at? And do you have a start time to it yet? I mean, are we still waiting on that until we get a little bit more budget, or do you feel comfortable enough to go out there?
Our first official day of shooting is July 13th, that weekend of the 13th and 14th. However, most of the filming locations, pretty much all of them, I think pretty much all of them are going to be in the state of Iowa. Again, like You Should Have Killed Me. That might vary as far as because with You Should Have Killed Me, we pretty much shot 95% of it in Waterloo, and then the other 5% in Cedar Rapids, which was about an hour away from Waterloo. I think with The Wicked Ways of Webster County, it's all going to be in that 100-mile radius of Waterloo. We have a couple of locations in this place called Waverly, which is 20 miles away. We have a couple of locations in Waterloo itself. And so I think we're all going to kind of be in that radius, but there's kind of a few question mark locations that we might have to do a bit of driving for, but we're still kind of figuring that out.
What's it like to be a co-director? Let's talk about that, because you guys are co-directing, and I know I asked Michael if he likes to do storyboards. Michael's like, nope, not me. I'm not about that. What about you, Tyler? Are you more into laying a story out? Are you into storyboarding yourself? What are some of the differences of you two that when you combine makes it work?
Well, we haven't co-directed yet, technically. I mean, I guess sometimes we technically co-direct on shoots and stuff, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we co-wrote it as well. So Michael kind of had the outline of the story. I mean, he had a script, and then I just went in and was like, oh, what about this instead? Or what about this? What about, just change some things around here and there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's yet to be seen. We'll find out what it's like co-directing, I guess.
I mean, I can tell you from my standpoint, I've been blessed with Tyler being my coworker, is in regards of he's like one of those coworkers and friends, good friends, that will finish each other's sentences, right? And that happened very quickly with me starting in commercial at Channel 7. I would be like, hey, you should get this, and he's like, I already got it. Or hey, we
talking about shooting on a commercial.
Yeah, shooting on a commercial. It's like, hey, we should shoot this, and he's like, yep, already on top of it. Or hey, what do you think we should do here? And then he basically tells me the idea in my head that I had bet. So very quickly, Tyler and I have a very similar sense of directing style, filmmaking style, favorite movies, things like that. So I very quickly found out when I was making You Should Have Killed Me, although my assistant director, Brittany Benedict, was fantastic, and I loved working with her and Michael on You Should Have Killed Me, I always kind of had that thought in the back of my mind. It's well, if I could just clone myself and there was two of me, that job would be so much fucking easier. And then when it came down to do this project, and I thought about the idea, and I mentioned it to Tyler. And to be honest with you, if you want to go into this, we can. This wasn't actually our original feature-length film that we were going to do together. We were actually working on another film with the working title Slay. But when I approached Tyler with this idea, and I wrote this script, and we went through and we revised it together, and we came up with ideas, and we started doing everything. For me, it's going from a solo director to a co-director. it kind of just took like a weight off of my shoulders. It was like I had that understanding that like, someone was going to be there to back me up. And whether or not we might agree on something or not, it was going to be like I had a teammate there to kind of help me work through it. So this whole process of making this film was a lot less stress-inducing than You Should Have Killed Me, because with You Should Have Killed Me, every decision came upon me, as opposed now I can be like, hey, Tyler, what do you think about this? What should we do about this? And it's like I'm not the only one making decisions.
I'm just there to talk him off of a ledge.
I don't know about that. Tyler's not giving himself enough credit, but yes, essentially.
I mean, I'm not saying that's the only thing I do.
Frank, how did you get involved in this?
I know how Frank got involved. You gonna answer, Frank?
What's that?
You gonna answer?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
How did you get involved in Webster County?
Oh,
He's clearly in character.
no, I just.
I know. I saw him doing that. I'm like, he looks like he just went method on us.
your chair matches your hat, and it makes it look like you're wearing a do-rag from a PD Pablo video.
Raise up.
Yeah, I just I've worked with these cats before, and they thought that I might work out for the part, and that's where we're at. It was fun working with them on a short called titled "Closing Shop" in Waterloo, and so then that went really well, and it was a really good film. It was a fun time. So happy to be aboard on this, and the guys wrote a part for me, thought it worked, so I love the script.
I mean, I don't want to insult you and say we wrote it for you.
Well, actually, what happened was his audition it was actually a similar thing with Michael. His audition was really good. The character he plays is a bit of a creep, and he did a really good audition. He played a creep very well, and we gave him more. We were like, we got to give him more lines. Like he can't, like, it's great. The scene he had was great, but we were like, we got to give him a little more.
So there you have it.
Is that fun for that? Is that fun to do? Like, here you are, you see a guy, Michael or Frank come in there and just crush it, and you look at each other and you go like, yeah, we're gonna do more lines. Let's go back there and write a little bit. Is that a place of happiness, like creative happiness?
It is.
Versus like, oh shit, we got to do a rewrite. Like this is going to take time. This is going to take a little effort. We got to make this mesh. I mean, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing when you sit around?
For me, it's like I'm going to tell a story, and I'm not going to give you a hot take. Sorry, Patrick. But for those of the cast who are watching, we recently had a cast member drop, which I haven't announced yet, and we were able to re-audition someone who absolutely killed the role.
Well, not re-audition.
Well, audition for it. He had never auditioned before, but we were able to fill the role very quickly and very easily with someone who absolutely killed the audition. And for me, a good audition can almost like breathe new life into me personally. Up until that point, I was like kind of dreading making the film. I was just like, we don't have to do this. Like, we can just stop. Like, we don't have to make this film. And then after I saw this person's audition for this position, I was like fired up again. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, we're making a fucking movie. Like, let's do it. And so for me, it kind of just sparked new life into the film. So
I love it. I love it. I mean, again, too, it goes down to the point where someone dropped, and before your talent base is really shallow, it's like, holy shit, who are we gonna get? But all of a sudden, it's like, here comes somebody, next man up or next woman up, comes up there, crushes it, because your talent pool is that a little bit deeper than it was before. That's really exciting for me. I'm excited for that, for all the filmmakers that I know in Iowa or Wisconsin, or in Ohio, because where you don't necessarily see it, expect that. In LA, I mean, you can't walk across the street without hitting 20 actors, and same thing in New York and Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here in Iowa, it's not nearly as as deep as that. So when you
Well,
develop
and actually,
that
this guy's from Wisconsin. Shout out to Michael for giving us his name.
yeah. Oh, it's not Austin, is it?
No, I know Austin though.
No,
Oh,
it's not Austin. Was it Gante?
Galante. Yeah, I'm doing a different movie with him in August.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick actually introduced Austin. I don't know if I ever told you that, Michael. But Austin just approached me for an actor he's looking for to shoot in Iowa like a couple of days ago, and I think I found him somebody. So, yeah, once again, small world. Don't be a dick. Be willing to help people out. So
that's right. What I'm really amazed about too, I'm thinking to myself, going like, I know me and the Bat were supposed to hang out with you to do a Tarantino list, and I was actually thinking of going like, he could just kick me and the Bat out of here. You
Hold
and
on,
Austin,
Patrick. I forgot all about that until you just said.
Yeah,
something.
what the hell happened to that? I believe I was invited to that.
Once again, I am now. I am now upset with you.
Explain yourself in the comments.
It's Al's fault. It's the Bat's fault. The cats are dependable. Bats are flighty. But I was gonna say you and Austin, I would love to see you guys do your Quentin Tarantino countdown. That would be pretty awesome, to tell you the truth.
Me, the AG baby, and Tyler. We'll put our top 10 together.
Yeah, you should do that. I'd definitely tune in for that. Let me go back to the chat real quick. Let's see. Jen says, if she was making a movie, I'd be too stubborn and unrelenting to have a co-director, unless it's there to help with actors having attitudes or whatever. You know what? Honestly, it's not really a hot take. I mean, there's a lot of people who, probably can't coexist as co-directing. I personally don't understand that. I think co-directing, it's a strength.
I would agree. And then, me personally, I feel like Tyler's the same way. Like, we love making movies. Like, it's fun. Making movies should be fun. Everyone should be having fun on set. Everyone should feel welcome and appreciated.
No, I disagree.
Like so, the thing is like when we're like, so Tyler helped me on. So I directed a short film called Lucid, and Tyler was my director of photography. We made that film together just to see how well we worked with each other outside of work. It's fine. It was a fun time. We had a blast. We did it. And then Tyler, his directorial debut was actually Closing Shop with Frank in it. And I was Tyler's DP. We worked together great. It was a blast. It was fun. Like, it was a fun time. And so the thing is like, if you can get down to business when you need to, but ultimately, like, if your sets are fun and people like being on them and people enjoy being on them, I feel like you're just going to have a better product. Like, it's just like, that's just my opinion. Like, do I think that Tyler are going to pull like a mom and dad and have an argument on set? Yes, but that's what we do when we're at work. That's what we do when we're on a commercial shoot. It's what we do. That's Tyler and I's friendship. That's me telling him how much of an idiot he is, or vice versa, is actually our love language. It's going to fucking happen. But at the same time, are we going to have fun? Are we going to come to a common ground? Are we going to make the best movie that we can? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we'll make the best movie we can, but we're not going to have fun.
Let me ask Michael and Frank a question. Have you ever been in a position where you've had to work with co-directors? And if so, what was your experience like?
Just recently I co-directed a short with Brittany Benedict on a short story that I came up with, and so yeah, I can speak firsthand. It's not as weird as you think. It's as long as you can check your ego, but have a backbone to stand like, hey, this has to be this way. I mean, that's, but then don't hold on too tight, be able to pass the baton and realize it's a team thing. So just check your ego. It's not that hard, really.
How about you, Michael? As an actor, have you worked underneath a co-directing duel? And if so, what was your experience?
I'm scrolling through my IMDb right now, trying to remember if there was such a scenario. Okay, there's one. It was fine. Yeah.
That's all you got.
The check cleared, so you're good.
That's all you got, Michael.
I don't know if I can handle that heavy answer. That's a low here.
No, it was. They were both on the same page. They both were. Yeah, it was fine.
Was it a TV show or was it a movie?
It was a short.
Oh, short. Okay. Yeah. I would think that would be. I think that would actually probably be the best cutting. That'd be the best training thing, right? That'd be the best thing possible to do. If you're going to do a co-direct, it would be better to do that in terms of a short film, or in your case, Michael and Tyler, commercials. I mean, what a perfect medium for that. I mean, to learn how to coexist and learn how to, communicate. I mean, it's right there, making a commercial.
And like you said,
it's a lot different from making a lot different being on location for 20, 21 days and, having issues.
Yeah. And like you said, it does come to a certain dependability point, like at first. Like, I don't ever have to worry about babysitting Tyler. If I, like, on a commercial shoot is what I mean. Like, so a lot of times we're on a commercial shoot, if it's like a big property or
on the weekends, he does have to worry about it.
But if it's like a big commercial shoot, it's like a lot of times I'll be like, hey, you go film this, this, and this. I'll go film this, this, and this. And generally the way we separate is by clients. So like the way Tyler's clients are, like I treat him like the director. So when we get on set, he'll be like, hey, I need you to get this, this, and this. And I'm like, Roger. And he'll be like, I need you to get this, and I'm going to go get this, this, and this. So a lot of times we divide and conquer based on whose client it is, or actually most of the time we just divide and conquer anyway to cover more room at the same time. But it's like Tyler is not one of those guys, and vice versa, that like if I go, hey, did you get this? And he's like, yep, got it. I don't need to babysit him. I don't need to look at his clips. I know that when he says he got it, and he got it well. I don't need to worry about that. So the thing is like the people that I work with, I would say go on like the trust of like what I do, right? So like with this film, Tyler and I are co-directing it, but our director of photography, his name is Kevin Thorne. If you recognize the name and you've looked at my work, Kevin Thorne was the DP of my short films Hollow Walls and The Entity and From the Void. And it's a guy that I've worked with before, but he's also very similar to Tyler. I don't have to babysit him. I don't have to tell him what's in my head. A lot of times I'll just tell him what the scene is. And then when I look at the camera, he'll be like, hey, what do you think of this framing? And I'm like, perfect. Like, I don't have to adjust anything. So these are guys that I've worked with before, but at the same time, they're not necessarily in the roles that I've worked with before.
Before you brought up the DP, I almost popped in and said, if you really think about it, the relationship between a director and a co-director is no different than the director and the director of photography.
Yeah, or cinematography.
Essentially.
Or a director and an editor, right?
I don't ever deal with an editor. I don't know what that is.
Well, you're going to this time, motherfucker, because Tyler and I are going to be editing it. So.
I'll be gone.
I'm going to call you once a week to give you an update, Michael.
I'll take the update.
We're just going to make you do ADR every week.
Let me ask the actors a question here. What are your plans after shooting Webster County? What do you got plans going forward? What's your summer looking like after the shoot?
I've got a short story that I'm working on this summer, and then I'm scheduled with these guys in September. And I got something else kind of at the end of September too. So get those 3 projects done, and then I'm going to look for a little time off and just kind of see what happens.
How about you, Michael?
I got one feature somewhere this summer. I don't know when that's going to happen. Another one August 3rd. That's the one with Austin. I've got one in, it's either Boston or New Hampshire. And that's in October. And
That's so cool. That's so cool. Now, did you meet Austin through Michael?
No. Austin actually messaged me once. So I was in a series called The Killers Club, and it's been on YouTube, but now it's licensed on Tubi. And he messaged me at one point and was like, "Hey, I saw you in The Killers Club. I want you to work on one of my projects." And so I've worked on a couple of little things here and there. And so that's how we met.
Man, it's a small world, isn't it? Man, it's a small world sometimes. Real quick, this will be my last question for you guys too, but I didn't even ask this question. I probably should have. But tell us a little bit about what Webster County is about. What's the, without giving any spoilers away, what's the movie about?
Take it away, co-director.
Yeah, it's so it's kind of a slice of life on one side, and it's a day in a small town. That's about as vague as I can be. It's a day in a small town with some dark elements afoot.
It's also based on a true story, and I won't tell you which one. But yeah, they're
not a famous story.
Not a famous story.
Also, we changed it quite a bit, so it's inspired by a true story.
And my very, very last question is, and I want all of you guys to answer it, what's been the best film and the worst film that you've seen so far this year?
New film?
Yeah. What's been the what film has been your favorite film of 2024? Which one you have not liked at all?
I gotta look what movies came out this year. My memory is
I
terrible.
I gotta think about this. So I actually don't watch a lot of film unless it's old films or classic films or critically acclaimed. I don't like the mainstream stuff. So I haven't watched a lot of movies. I watch more TV series right now. But if I'm in the right year, I freaking love Saltburn.
I think that's technically last year, but
is that last year?
I also really enjoyed it.
So I got to think of what's in 2024.
I'm going through. I've barely seen any of these. Ooh, I'll tell you what I hated. Roadhouse. Okay. That shit was trash.
It goes right back to my whole thing about sequels and remakes and destroying our childhood memories. Like I couldn't bring myself to watch that.
Conor McGregor was the best part about that movie. That should tell you everything.
Yeah,
Conor McGregor is not a good actor, but he is the best part about that movie.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything good about Roadhouse.
God, I'm really looking for. There's a bunch of movies on this list that came out this year that I want to see. See, I have a 1-year-old, so I don't get out to the movies very often. I'm
looking through the list, and I haven't even heard of half of these movies.
I just saw Dune 2. I really liked that. I think I kind of hyped it up too much in my head. Like I was so excited to see it that I think I kind of ruined it for myself.
Al mentioned that his so far is last year, but he saw it this year. It's Godzilla -1.
Oh, I just watched that. Actually, I just watched that too. It's on Netflix. That's
only because I haven't shown the Bat his favorite movie this year, because I'm going to do it again. That's The Coffee Table. That's my number one movie of the year. It will be the whole year. There won't be anything else at all. That movie is that good, and It is absolutely bonkers. And so I know Al will go from Godzilla to The Coffee Table. That's a weird segue. Let's see. Hey, Don, our good friend Don, or we call him Don Zombie, is in the house. Glad you're here. Hey, all the bat and the owl, winged birds of night, causing havoc. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm with you about one thing too, real quick. And we're talking about improvement. I just find like Tubi's a great testing ground for that, right? You go there, you can type in, you can see a director's first time. I tell you what, let me ask you this question. I just wanted to get your opinion. This is for Michael and Tyler. So I watched this movie today, and it came out in 2012, and it was directed by this gentleman named Kern Sexton. And so I go over there to see what else he's done, because the movie came out in 2012. I'm looking over there like he's got tons. He's only done one thing since 2012. 10 years apart from the movie he directed to the movie he directed out as a segment of an anthology. I've seen this before where a director cannot get another movie off the ground, and it's years between projects. What causes that? I mean, what do you think causes that? And how? I mean, if that happened to you, if you were suddenly in that position where you made Webster County, but all of a sudden after that it just dried up altogether. How do you handle that as a creative, as a screenwriter, as a director? How would you approach that? Like, man, I personally, I just like 10 years between projects. It's almost like, how do you get back onto the boat?
I don't know. For someone who has a creative mind like mine, I never stop. I'm always coming up with ideas. In fact, Tyler and I actually already have the next feature length film already planned out. We know exactly what the next movie is going to be. I mean, if it was like drying up and we weren't getting funding, I would probably just stick to making short films for a while, just to at least be able to exercise my creativity and scratch the itch a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't make movies because I want to get paid. I make movies because I love it. So I would, even if I was just making shorts on my iPhone 15, I'd keep doing it somehow.
I mean, I looked because you're thinking, okay, maybe it's 10 years between features, okay, but he's done short films, right? Nothing listed.
I mean, you never know. This is kind of like a Troy Duffy situation, with like Boondock Saints. He made Boondock Saints. It released like 2 days after Columbine and got horrible reviews because of how violent it was. But then after people kind of had time to pass Columbine, it became a cult classic. And in fact, Boondock Saints is probably one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. But with that being said, Troy Duffy also, at the time before Harvey Weinstein got in trouble, was like one of the first filmmakers to be like, fuck you, I'm not doing what you're telling me to do. So Harvey kind of blacklisted him. So by the time he made Boondock Saints 2, it had been like 15 years. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it varies. There's a lot of things that people don't see until like in retrospect. Like, I don't know. I have a feeling that also might be a lot because of ego. There's a very famous filmmaker and also famous YouTuber, which I'm not going to say their name because odds are everyone in this chat plus people watching know who it is. He has made several shorts. I think he's made 1 or 2 features, and he refuses to make his next feature until he gets picked up by a major studio and gets like millions of dollars to do it. And good for him. Like, I wish him the best of luck. But like, if you're going to carry that big of an ego because you have like 180,000 subscribers on YouTube, like, go fuck yourself. I don't know.
Well, I know it can't be Cooter. Yeah, it can't be Cooter. But that guy couldn't make him. No, I've seen some of his stuff. I think I'll go watch the room.
Just in my opinion, this guy's been pitching the same script for like the last 6 years. And like, if no one said yet, you should probably go back to the writing table and make a script that's worth making. But he refuses to do it unless he gets millions of dollars. So I don't know.
Well, good thing to wish. All right, gentlemen. I want to thank you guys all for coming out. This has been amazing. I feel like I went every time I get you on here, Michael, I always feel like I'm going to film school. And I know Al probably feels the same way, and anybody else. It's always a pleasure to have you on
Hey,
here.
Al, by the way, it's not too late. If you want to be my co-director, if you give us 15 grand, Tyler still has that option on the table.
Absolutely.
Only if he rolls up in the credit as the Bat. That's the only way. That's the only way here he'll do it. We will put down Michael's Vimeo down in the description box. We'll leave that up for how long you want to leave your Vimeo up in the description box? A week?
Yeah, a week is fine. I want to find a way to make sure that I can give them proof of like where their money's going to. So like I'll figure that out within like the next few days. But yeah, a week is long enough.
Okay. Okay. So the Wicked Waste of Webster County will be shooting next month, and hopefully it'll be a very fast and safe shoot. The heat wave won't be around. The tornadoes are already gone. Hopefully it'll be a fast shoot, and we'll see you again in the fall time and during after post. I want to thank you all to come in, Frank and Mike and Tyler and Michael James. Thank you guys so much for giving of your time. Very generous. Had an outstanding time. Thank you so much. Stay there for a second. I want to thank the chat for coming in here and knocking it out again. You guys have really been stepping up large lately. I really appreciate it. It gives me a good feeling because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with our good friend Corey Wilkie from the YouTube channel Wilkie's Movies and Music. And he'll be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And that will be a lot of fun too. And we'll be talking some music tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see you here. I appreciate that. And thank you for coming out and for your support. And to you guys, stay right there. And to the chat, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Wilkie's Movies and More. Thanks so much. And we're out of here. Peace. Don't go anywhere, guys.